Miss Taylor Swift is cussing. She is spouting out profanities, but I'm kind of here for it. Before we get started, I did not do my hair for this video. I've been working all day. It was the last thing on my priority list because I wanted to film this video, so we're just gonna push that aside. But anyways, today, this is not just any video. No. We are gonna be talking about Miss Taylor Swift's Folklore. This album. Oh my gosh. I am so in love. I am so invested. Nothing else matters in the world to me right now other than Taylor Swift's Folklore. She dropped this album literally out of nowhere, and I am so excited to be talking about it today. I just felt like it was very necessary, not because I am a musician, not that I'm a vocalist, not that I'm anybody important, but I have loved Taylor Swift for over half of my life existence, and I thought that it was important to talk about this situation because this is a big deal. This is a big deal. We have a lot to talk about. I'm going to be doing my makeup while I do this, and let's go ahead and get started, I guess. If you are new here, this is not typically a type of video that I make. I typically make fashion related content and lifestyle and college on my channel, but I thought that this was so insanely important to talk about because I love Taylor Swift. I have loved Taylor Swift ever since the first Taylor Swift album literally ever came out. Love her so much, and she has been through many phases and obviously many albums, so I wanted to see what she was going to be doing, obviously, because I knew this is not her first rodeo. She knows what she is doing whenever it comes to anything related to music. So obviously whenever I saw Folklore, I was like, oh my god, this is literally about to be her first beginnings literally all over again. I thought it was going to be more country based and have more of that vibe generally to it, but honestly it was obviously very folky. I knew that was going to be the theme, obviously, because of the name Folklore, but there are a lot of discussions of as far as the entire theme and the aesthetic. There is a lot of quote cottagecore aesthetic, which is what it's called, and it's living out in the woods, you're living out in a little cottage out in the woods. You wear sundresses every day, you have a straw hat, you wear combat boots with your dresses. So obviously whenever she announced this album, by the way, I can't ignore the fact that she announced the album literally on the decade of One Direction. I will never not acknowledge that whenever talking about this album, because let's just talk about for the second that whenever Mr. Harry Styles released Fine Line, he released it on December 13th, which, if you are not a Taylor Swift fan, that is her birthday. You're telling me that there is no connection between him posting his album on her birthday and then the decade of One Direction, literally the anniversary of One Direction existing, even though they've been split up for a little bit. She drops an album. She's like, hey guys, guess what I'm doing? I'm doing an album. And I'm like, okay. I'm very happy to see this, but I'm also you're telling me that there's not either this is shade or a fun little game for them. I'm not really sure what's going on, but if it's a hailer thing, okay, I can see it. We love to see it. Whenever she announces the album, she discusses how basically it is her mind imagining, or she let her mind go through her imagination and just kind of let her imagination run wild during quarantine, because obviously COVID-19 is a thing, and she wrote all of these songs obviously during quarantine, so it was just kind of just letting things run wild. And then I cannot remember his name literally right now for the life of me, but he is the lead singer from Bleachers, which is honestly a really great band, and they are both really great songwriters, and she worked with him on a few of these songs. So as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh my gosh, this is literally going to be amazing. We're going to start off with The One. So the second that I heard Taylor Swift cuss on the first line, I was like, okay, we are not playing games here, clearly. A lot of people for a long time have waited for her to cuss or like say a bunch of bad words in her songs. I was never like obsessed with it. I was just kind of like, if she does it, that's fine. If she does it, that's fine. But the second I heard the first line of The One, I was like, sis is coming in and she is doing things. Okay, that is what she's doing. She is not playing games. So The One is basically, we had this thing, we were together, it was like fun for a bit, but it ended up not working out, and you basically could have been the one, and I thought for a long time that it was gonna be you, but then it ended up not working out. So obviously the first one was like, oh gosh, this is about to be like Heartbreak Central, because that's just like, as soon as I saw the Folklore vibes, I was like, this is probably gonna be a lot of sad songs. But I was honestly here for it, and I was honestly kind of prepared. We roll into Cardigan, which is very much the like mysterious, like baddie. A lot of people, I feel like, overlook Cardigan, and though it's like one of the more like popular songs out of the album, this is probably one of my top favorites. I did hear, I like never listened to the radio, but I did see that Cardigan was being played on the radio now, which the only thing that I'm like terrified of is like people overplaying it and like getting me like to hate it because anytime I hear a song on the radio, I like hate it. But Cardigan is pretty much like kind of like an edgy vibe. It's like the vintage tee, all that kind of stuff, and it was like basically like whenever you're little or like you're a kid, everybody thinks you don't know anything, but it was like, but I knew you this way and I knew how you were while we were dating, and basically like whenever everybody else kind of made me not feel special, you always made me feel special. I kind of have a theory that Cardigan is about Mr. Harry Styles because the Cardigan music video, sis, I don't know if she thinks that we're dumb or what she thinks, but the piano in the water, Mr. Harry Styles falling music video, hello, don't get me started. I think that this is like hitting it back at each other, and it's kind of driving me nuts. But anyways, we're gonna move on to the next song. So the next song, The Last Great American Dynasty. So this song is honestly so cool to me, and I liked it whenever I first heard it, but I liked it even more once I realized what it was about. So Taylor Swift owns a Rhode Island mansion, and it is huge. It is big and it is bad. It is amazing. And so the song, The Last Great American Dynasty, is about the woman that owned the home before her. But it was like of the woman that previously owned it, and kind of like the love story. And the thing that I thought was so cool about it is like how at the very end Taylor talks about like how she was the woman that like she had a marvelous time ruining everything. That was like the kind of like run online with that song, or with that main like takeaway, is there was like a plan and there was a doctor, and they decided to settle down in the house, and that was the house that obviously she lives in now. So it was a lot of connections. I love to see it, so it was very interesting. But I think the main thing that we need to focus on here is My Tears Ricochet. So if you are a Taylor Swift fan, then you know probably that the 5th track on every album is like the sad album. It's like the sad song. It is the like, oh my gosh, this is about to be rough, but it's gonna be good. And whenever I heard My Tears Ricochet, tears. It was a lot, and I understand how this is like the most mentally like taxing one, if you will. It's like very emotional, it's very invested, it's very sad, but it's also like very relatable in a lot of ways to, I feel like, a lot of people. And that is like what makes My Tears Ricochet so different, is that it's like the thing that it is like heart-wrenching, it is the All Too Well, it is the Last Kiss. I'm not gonna say it's as good as All Too Well, because I feel like All Too Well is just like another level of like extreme sadness and like the most like saddest song in the world. But that is my Tears Ricochet to the Folklore album. We start to get into August, which I feel like a lot of people don't really like it. I'm not saying that they don't like it, but this is hands down my favorite song on this entire album. I say that August has to be my top 5 hands down. It is just like such a happy but like also kind of sad, if you listen to the lyrics, song. Like it is just like a, oh my gosh, it's just so good. And like I don't know, it's like the lyrics, I just love it. If you listen to it, it's like sweet, but it's also really sad. And it was talking about like August was a time and we thought that we had it, but you were never like mine. And August was a good time, but you were never like 100% with me, if that makes any sense. So I have to talk, of course, about Epiphany. Epiphany changed my life. I'm not even kidding you. Epiphany is my favorite song literally on the entire album. There are no questions about it. It is probably the best song on the album in my opinion. Epiphany for me has to be like literally top 3. Probably my very favorite out of the entire album. I don't know why, because it's not like the lyrics have like any personal meaning to me or anything like that, but it is literally just such a beautiful song, and I have listened to it the most, and it is hands down my favorite. But it talks about from what I can kind of understand is like there's been like a car accident or like a wreck or something like that, and they had to go to the doctor, and they said that it's talking about that, and then it's also discussing like med school, so obviously there's like a doctor involved. And I believe I've heard some people say that this is also like talking about Taylor's mom and how she has dealt with her cancer battle, and that like broke my heart into 1,000 pieces. But I appreciate her like talking about it, because she also mentioned it in Soon You'll Get Better. Yes, she mentioned it in like Soon You'll Get Better by the Dixie Chicks, or like featuring the Dixie Chicks, and that song ripped my heart out. I can't listen to it because it's so sad. Oh, how can I forget Betty, because we have to talk about Betty, obviously, for obvious reasons, because everybody is having a conniption fit over it for very obvious reasons. Is Taylor Swift bi? Is she talking about somebody else? Because obviously Taylor Swift has done this before, where she has told somebody else's story through her songs. This is not new. That's not new to her. But I've seen many theories of like this is also involves like Blake Lively's kids, which I don't really know how that ties into anything. She has wrote herself as a character named James in her songs before. So a lot of people are like, there is a character named Betty and they are in homeroom together, and Betty decides to switch their homeroom, and he's like, James is freaking out, and a lot of people are like, Taylor is James, and then Betty is obviously a girl, and we're like, is Miss Taylor Swift bi? And then she drops the F-bomb on us, and I was not prepared, but I also was kind of waiting for this all along in kind of a way. Hear me out. But Miss Taylor Swift dropped the F-bomb. This is not a drill. Miss Taylor Swift dropped the F-bomb. Okay? This is no drill, no exaggeration, no tea. That is just what happened. She really kind of delivered for us. But a lot of people, there, I have to show this. One of my friends, she makes some stickers on Etsy, and one of the stickers that she made says the B in LGBTQ stands for Betty by Taylor Swift, which love to see it. We love to see it. And then last but not least, the thing I'm going to talk about is Peace, because this is I believe that this is one about her current boyfriend, which I can't remember his name right now, but I'm going to put it up right here. And it's like, would it be enough if I could never give you peace? And it talks about gold and like being golden, and anytime that she talks about like being gold, it's normally about like her current relationship with her boyfriend now. So all around, love this album literally so much. There's not been a day since it came out that I have not listened to it. I absolutely love it. I thought that it would be fun to like talk about it together and just kind of have like a little breakdown sesh of what you guys are thinking about it as well. This is not normally a video that I would typically do, but I love Taylor Swift and I have for a very long time, so I thought that it was very fitting to film this. If you guys enjoyed today's video, thank you guys so much for checking it out. Please feel free to like this video and subscribe to my channel down below. And typically I don't film this kind of videos. I normally film like lifestyle, fashion, content, whatever, but if you guys are interested in any of that, please be sure to subscribe down below. But that is pretty much it for me, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Bye.
I'm worried about the way I've been living. I'm worried that you're looking